welcome to the 2014 NCAA First Round Press Conference. Joining us on the dais this afternoon is head coach Karen Aston and student athletes from Texas. We'll begin with an opening statement from Coach Aston.
Obviously, we're very, very excited to be here. A team is excited to play back in the NCAA tournament. It's been a while since our program has been in the position that we're in, and really, really proud of our team. In particular, happy for our seniors. You always want a senior class that has put forth a lot of effort to do the things that you've asked them to do. I'm really excited for them that they've had this opportunity, and we're ready to play, most importantly.
We'll now have an opportunity to open it up for questions for Coach Aston and the Texas student athletes. If you can please wait until you have the microphone, and also please identify yourself and your affiliation prior to answering the question, that would be appreciative.
Dave Ginsburg, Associated Press. Karen, what's it like to play a team that from the Ivy League? They've only won one game ever. You obviously would have to be heavy favorites, but maybe that's not a role that you would prefer to have.
Well, I think when you watch them, which is all really that Texas is concerned about, is what we have to do to get a win tomorrow. When you watch film of Penn, I don't think that we will consider ourselves a heavy favorite at all. I think they're a really good basketball team that has had some goals their own selves that they set forth, and a terrific senior class with what it appears like to have really good leadership, and they have a lot of confidence. And in particular with our team, we don't have a team full of players that have played the NCAA tournament, won a lot of games in the NCAA tournament, so we're somewhat on a level playing field as far as that is concerned. So I think you just have to think about the teams that are going to line up and play, and it's going to be a really competitive game.
Noel Greenberg, Philadelphia Inquirer for this weekend. What has impressed you watching film about Stepanovic?
Probably the most impressive thing about her has been her composure. She's a true freshman that was thrown into the fire pretty quickly, and when you watch them play, she doesn't really look like a freshman. She doesn't carry herself like one. Obviously her shot blocking ability jumps out at you pretty quickly, but really her composure is what has been the most impressive thing to me.
Hey Monty, kind of the same question. Stepanovic is a freshman, she's 6'3", and they're 14-1 now with her in the starting lineup. What does she bring that is difficult for you? What's your challenge against her?
She's a great player, and she is not a typical post player you see in the Big 12. She likes to face up, shoot, and that's a challenge for me, actually having to guard people on the perimeter and stay honest on defense. So it'll be a nice matchup, and I'm excited about it.
Cassidy, you're back in the tournament after missing last year. Could you, I guess, discuss the disappointment of last year? I mean, you probably thought first freshman, sophomore were going to be there every year, and what it took to turn around to get the program back in this year.
I feel like last year was more of a learning year and teaching year for the whole team, really. And I mean, our goal was to make the tournament, but we didn't. So that was another goal that we made this year, was to make the tournament. And now that we're in the tournament, just get past the first round, because we haven't done that in a while.
Karen, I'm not suggesting an upset at all, but men's tournament, a lot of upsets in the first round. It doesn't usually happen in the women's tournament. Would you expect any explanation? Would you expect that maybe that level playing field you were talking about will become more level in the years ahead, or even maybe this year?
It's funny that you say that. We were just talking about that last night at the dinner table, that the parity in the men's game is extremely evident, and you see that in the 5-12 games. I mean, it's really not, I don't think there is a favorite when you get in those 5-12 games in the men's game, and I think the women's game is getting closer. I think all we have to do is look at the first game of the day today, where Oklahoma State won by 1 over Florida Gulf Coast, and you can see that parity is getting more relevant in the women's game. I think that Penn is really good. You're talking about a team that won their conference. They went through the rigors of conference play and they won a championship, and they have won a lot of games in 2014 as opposed to losses. So you're seeing a team that's extremely confident. So I'm not talking about an upset either, but I do think that the parity is becoming more evident in the women's game.
Fran Harris, AM 1300 The Zone. This is for NECA. NECA, just based on the scouting that you guys have done in preparation for Penn, what do you see as the specific challenges for your team heading into tomorrow's game?
I think when you say discipline, like Amani said, they have post players who are able to stretch their offense out and are able to do things, shoot on the outside, drive from the outside, and it's going to be a challenge for our post players to really settle down and play defense on them.
Rick Cantu, the Austin American Statesman, forgot the first time. Chastity, does this team from Penn remind you of anybody that you've played in the Big 12, either in the X's and O's part or athletically?
I would say maybe Iowa State, because they're all shooters. Just like these two said, you have to depend them on the three-point line, and some of them can drive also.
Any additional questions?
Karen, the same question. Anybody that you've played in the Big 12, resemblance-wise?
In some ways, you could compare them to Iowa State or Kansas State because of the way that they run their offense, the spacing of their offense, and their ability to change defenses. And they make you think because they change a lot, they keep you off guard offensively, and then the way that they space their offense would be somewhat similar to maybe in particular Kansas State, because they do have a bit of a presence in the middle that Kansas State had, especially down the stretch. Kansas State started playing their bigger girl more, but you might compare those to them, but they also have their own style, for sure.
Karen, same question that I have for NECA. What do you see from a coaching standpoint are the greatest challenges for the team tomorrow?
Well, I would agree with NECA, so that means she's listening to the coaches. Discipline has got to come into order for our team defensively. I think we're a really good defensive team when we want to be. Sometimes we get antsy and we lose our discipline on the defensive end, but I think it's going to require a lot of that against this team, because they're disciplined. They know exactly what they're supposed to do. They know their roles, and they do them very well. So it takes a disciplined defensive team to guard them and make them take difficult shots. And then the extra piece to that is the discipline to block out and rebound, because they're a good rebounding team. On the flip side of that, I think we need to do what we are capable of doing well, which is if we rebound the ball well, then we're able to get out and transition, which obviously everybody knows that we do a pretty good job of. And we need to be extremely diligent on the backboard because it's what we do well.
Any additional questions? Okay, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.